Oh, wow, what are you doing here? Hello and welcome. Today I'm making this YouTube video, so this is interesting. Today we're going to be installing reinforcement brackets for my SeemsLegitGarage dual caliper bracket system, and I am kind of responsible for breaking a lot of them. So Mike was great enough to just help me design, help them, help me, help everyone design a better product. So we'll just install them today and then we'll just go from there. Yeah. So step one, unbox your box. This is stuff that comes with it. So this is the actual bracket that was that wraps around the hub, and then so we'll just install left, right, and then I'm also going to change to the brand new actual mounts. And then it also comes with this bag of hardware, which is great. It comes with everything in there, like fancy black, and it's awesome looking. And then we got, oh, yep, sorry about that. So it comes with this. These are the actual, because I have M3 rear end in this, and then so you have to, it actually says M3 right hand drive, right hand not drive. Perfect. So step one, take off your wheels. So step two will be removing this caliper. I already have it installed. Hello. So I'm gonna take off the spacers, then I'm gonna take off both sets of calipers, remove the rotor, and then if you don't have this yet, just ignore this. So the only thing you're gonna do is obviously take off the caliper, the stock caliper that comes with it. I believe they're 16 millimeter. Doesn't really matter. You can find information on taking off calipers. And I'm only going to show one side because the other side is kind of showing it is redundant. Don't do what I'm doing. Yes, I'm wearing a tweaker light. Caliper 2, out. So the next thing you'll do is remove the rotor. This is an M3 subframe rear end. So, oh, I should turn this off. Yes. This is like the silliest video I've ever been a part of. So take off the rotor, it comes off like so. Very cool. So here's thing up close. So actually, this is what was happening to the driver's side. It would snap these small pieces of hardware because they're like, you can't make them any bigger. So what this bracket will do is wrap it around so it's in this groove, which will make it hold on to the hub rather than the hardware. And the hardware will just press it together rather than actually applying actual force on a tiny bolt that's there. On the other side, it's actually a lot worse. I feel I should wash this again, but I'm not going to because it's extremely filthy. It's last time I drove it was at Thunderhill East, and it was in the rain, and then went off-roading a little bit. But anyway, so take off, if you don't have the caliper yet, don't have the whole system yet, you won't have this part, so you'll have to plumb that up like a normal dual caliper system. There's nothing too complicated about this. But yeah, we'll just kind of go into this. And first thing I'll do is remove my old brackets. Also, don't forget to put Loctite on literally everything here. It's number one rule of motorsports. Put Loctite on everything. All right, I have no idea what I'm doing. I mean, kind of do, but this is just an interesting process. I'm taking off the existing stuff, so and then it's dirty, and I'm trying to not to get dirty because I have work after this, like a normal job. So, not really a normal job. All right, so here we go. This is the bracket, right hand side. It's the old one. It's actually exactly the same as the new one, like exactly the same. But the wraparound part is what we're gonna be installing, so. One day I'll have a lift, one day. So clean all your mating surfaces. It's a must. So the next step will be putting right-hand drive. I keep on saying right-hand drive. It's right hand, not right-hand drive. Right-hand drive is, never mind. So it goes right there. And then this goes around it. And then use all the new hardware, use Loctite, everything. Loctite, everything. Oh, Mike gave me extra hardware, for sure. It's great. I have 2 extra bolts. Thank you. So, always put Loctite on everything prior to assembly. Especially on race cars, like it shakes everything to pieces. So, okay. So the first thing I would do here is put the bolt that goes through there, and then obviously it threads into this nipple-looking thing from the inside of the control arm, trailing arm. That's going to be the first piece of hardware. Let's see if I drop it or I don't drop it. This game is called Will I Drop It? Oh, I did not drop it. Dude. So that's the first piece of hardware that goes into it. I feel like a wheel right now with Valino tires. Those are Valino tires. It's a plug. And now you put this little dealio on here, bracket. So then you get a longer, so there's 2, without the this bracket, you actually get 2 of these size bolts, but because there's also a reinforcement bracket, there will be one that's longer and one that's shorter. And then same thing, you also get additional 2, I don't know what the size of this bolt is, but you get 2 additional ones because they're going into the side of that. So the next thing I'll do is put the longer one. Well, actually, let's put the shorter one, just thread it in a little bit. and see what's up. And then put the longer one on the bottom. So, I was afraid of this and it happened. So for, that goes right there. Then you kind of wrap it around here. Don't put the bolt in before you put the bracket on because it won't go in, just like what happened just now. Then you put, thread it in a little bit. The next thing you put is like one of those smaller ones, smaller bolts, and it goes to the back hole. I don't know if you I can just show you this. That goes right there, and then one more goes right there. Right there. So you have 3 bolts here. Yep. One goes from the inside, then this shorter one and a longer one, and then one small once and another small. So yeah, baby, bolts. Oh, they call them bolts. So now we just thread those in, torque them. I know I'm gonna torque them too, but because I don't know, but just look it up by the hardware size. I kind of know where it should be, how it should feel like, but I don't recommend doing it that way. So this is actually the first E46 design that wraps around like that. And it was my fault altogether. So during Drift Week 4, we were at Apple Valley Speedway, which is Old Grange. And it has a very particular, this is kind of a story time. Because nobody wants to watch me turn wrenches right now, probably. So we're gonna do story time continues. So during Drift Week 4, we were at Grange, which is Apple Valley Speedway, and it has a very particular entry that for bigger cars, bigger wheelbase cars. If you want it to look aggressive, like what I like to do is obviously enter with a feint, but to rotate the car after you load the passenger side, what I do is just a little dab of front brake just to hold the front so the rear rotates faster, and so it makes it a cooler looking flick. So, and while doing that, you also kind of you might have to adjust with your ebrake. And what I think was happening to the rotor, one caliper would compress here because of the dab of the normal brake. And then while I was doing that, the slap back of this caliper working against this caliper, it would shake all the hardware loose on, and that's what actually caused some of these brackets to fail. And that's why some people go with inline, but inline has its own quirks and you have to drive it a certain way. I prefer this setup for like grassroots setup. For pro, I'll probably go inline, but I don't know yet. So like a pro car setup, I guess. And then I talked to Mike from SeemsLegitGarage. I don't know what that says anymore, but I talked to Mike, and he was yeah, he was very understanding. Which is fantastic. Like I don't like companies that get defensive about their product. I think you should always improve your product rather than get all upset about, like, it should be a good product. And Mike is always open to like that kind of feedback and criticism and all that, and that's why this came about, and it's the best product right now. And like I still have yet to obviously test it, but I know this will work because the forces that will be applied around the hub rather than on tiny pieces of hardware. So now that this is secured, so we'll just kind of go over it and. All right, now we're just gonna check everything once again. So 8mm bolt, they're not 8mm bolts, but 8mm heads that I'm using 8mm wrench for. Just gonna check it. Don't over tighten it, but just make sure it's nice and snug. No. And then reverse of this. So I'm gonna put the, let's look at this once again. Take 169. So this is what it looks like. Yeah. Bracket, wraparound bracket. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5th bolt. So instead of having this tiny bolt holding it, now the whole bracket, and actually like snugs in the groove there, so it's just perfect. So now it won't have that issue, hopefully. No, it won't have that issue. So now just put the rotor back in, ignore my rusty rotor. It's a little more shiny now. Put the normal caliper on. Once that's snug, finally tighten in these beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Willwoods. This caliper is like half the weight of the stock caliper. I should clean it more. Okay, so now that's back on. Gonna put my little spacers on my little race car. Oh yeah, Loctite. Remember I mentioned Loctite? Torque these nuts, bolts, Doesn't even matter, dude. Does not matter. So now just copy and paste on the other side. It's just very simple. Clean up after yourself.